start with, and this is my ring, and you can see that I already have some beads in a circle around my ring, and I'll hold it up like this so you can see what I have. I started with 3 11-0s and a crystal, and I took my string around my ring and I tied a knot. Once I tied my knot, I am now coming out of this crystal right here. From here, now I'm going to bring this, I want my crystal sitting up like that on top of my ring, okay? It's going to move around for right now, that's fine. That will fix as we progress on our project. So now, coming out of this crystal, now we're going to start our CRAW. And these are our floor beads, see? So I'm going to pick up an 11, since I'm coming out of my crystal, every time you're coming out of your crystal, you're going to pick up 11-0, crystal, and 11-0, circle around, and go through your crystal. Now the first couple of rounds of this is going to be a little bit difficult because you don't really have that much to hang on to, but it will get easier and you will find your rhythm. I'm coming out of my bottom crystal, which is my floor crystal. I'm going to go through my next floor 11-0. And if you know CRAW, you know what I mean by going through your floor beads. So out of my floor 11-0, I'm picking up 2 11-0s. I'm going to pick up my 11-0 from my previous, and I'm going to pick up my floor bead that I'm coming out of, and I'm going to circle around. Now we're going to move ahead, move on, and go through the next floor bead. And I'm going to pick up 2 11-0s again. And I'm going to go through my side 11-0 and my floor 11-0 again. And pull. And then now I'm going to pick up my last floor bead, which is this one here. And now I have 3 beads. I have my floor and my 2 side beads. I'm going to go through my side bead here. And if this moves around, that's fine. We'll fix that. Okay, I'm trying not to confuse you, and I think I totally am. Let me get out of that. Okay, here I'm back in my side bead, and I'm going to pick up 1 11-0, my other side wall bead, and down my floor bead. So I have my 4 beads there. I'm going to go up, since I did all of my walls. Now we're going to close it. So I'm making my way up to these 3 beads, which is my crystal here, and I'm going to go through my 3 11-0s next. Trying to stay in frame, because I know it's annoying when I'm not in frame. So I went through 2 of my 11-0s, now my 3rd, and I'm going to go back through my crystal to complete this step. So I have closed off this wall. This has now become the floor because we're going to do CRAW again. So see what we got? Trying to see. trying to show you the CRAW from all sides here, so you see. And now I want I want it to be like this, with my crystals on top of my ring. I've moved along in my project, and I'm going to show you again how to do it. And so I have my floor here. See my 4 beads, my 3 11-0s, and my crystal. And I'm actually coming out of one of my 11-0s now. So I'm going to pick up 3 11-0s. I'm going to circle around, go through that floor 11-0. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say floor 11-0, Potomac Beads has a bunch of videos on different stitches, including cross stitch. So if you're not familiar with cross stitch, now I'm going to go into my next floor bead, which is another 11-0. If you're not familiar with cross stitch, you can check out one of their CRAW videos and get a better idea of how to do CRAW and try it out on your own before you try to do this project if you're not as familiar with it. So now I'm coming out of my second floor bead, which is my next 11-0 in line. Now I'm picking up 2 11-0s. I'm going to go in through one of my wall beads from my previous step, and then I'm going to go through my floor bead. And then I'm going to go through my next 11-0 floor bead. And it's probably hard to see which beads I'm talking about because it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard if you don't know how to do this stitch. If you do, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and once you start doing it, once you have it in your hand, it will be much easier. So I'm going to pick up 2 more 11-0s. I'm going to go through my side bead and then in through my floor bead. And see how it's easier to do now that I have something to hang on to. Okay, so now I'm going to go through my crystal, and I'm going to go up one of my side beads. Well, my side bead, not one of my side beads. Well, yeah, one of my side beads, the one on this side. And I just need to add one more bead. And since I'm coming out of the crystal and I have my 2 11-0s already, I will need to add my crystal and go in through this side bead, then circle around and go through my crystal. Now, coming out of my crystal, I'm going to go up my side bead, and I'm going to close everything around. Everything here, these 4 beads, I'm going to go up and go into one of my floor beads, which is my 11-0, and I'm going to go through my other 11-0s and my crystal. And through my last 11-0 here to close everything. So I'm just going to hold on to my piece like this, and I'm going to pull my thread. Okay, that way I close everything up nicely. So go ahead and finish adding all of your little the rest of your beads till you are done, and you should end up with 30 of your little 2 millimeter crystals, and I'll show you how to close it up. I have 29 of my crystals, and I'm ready to close this up. Okay, and I'm coming out of this little seed bead here, right there. And now we're going to, connect with this side, okay? So I'm coming out of here. I'm going to pick up an 11-0, whoops, and go through this one. Going across it, and then you can help it along by moving your beads like that. And then now up here, I'm going to add another 11-0, and then I'm going to go down this one. So, and you'll see everywhere you're missing beads, everywhere you need to add your connecting 11-0s. So now I'm coming out of here, and I'm going to go down here. And I need to connect, I need to make another little box here. See how I have 1, 2, 3, and I need one there. So I'm going to pick another one up, and I'm going to go through here. And then I'm just going to circle around and connect all that together. Now I'm going to flip this again, and I'm coming out of here, and you can see where I have an incomplete box here. I have 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go down this one, and I'm going to pick up another 11-0, and then I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to close at it. And I'm going to go around all of these and connect them, and I'm going to come out here. So this is where I would add another crystal, but I don't need one. I'm not sure why I don't need another crystal here when I have 29 here and I have 30 on here, but it looks fine, so I'm not going to worry about it. And if that happens to you too, don't worry about it. If it looks good, like you don't need an extra bead, then don't add it. So now I'm going to see here, I need this, all of these are close together, but they don't really, they're not connected. So I'm going to go up my crystal here. See, this is where, whoops. Okay, this is this box here. They're not connected. We need to connect them. Coming out of this crystal, it's kind of dark. Okay, I'm coming out of this crystal here, and I'm going to connect it with this 11-0, this crystal, and this crystal on the bottom. So I'm going to do that now. And then I'm going to connect this 11-0 and this crystal to complete this little box. Okay, so everything is now connected. Yeah. Okay, so everything is now connected, and I'm ready to add my little briolette here in the center. And once again, if you have too big of a space, add another crystal. If you don't, just do what I did on this one. As long as you don't have any space, too much space between your crystals, you should be fine. So I guess 29 or 30 will work. So what I want to do now I had said that we were going to add our briolette, but I think it would be easier if we just add our clasp first. Okay, so I've already closed up everything. So now I'm coming out of one of my crystals up here. See, I'm coming out of one of my crystals, and from there I'm just going to get in the middle here where you can see me coming out of my crystal, And I'm just going to sew from my crystal to a bead like that. Okay, so I'm coming out of this bead here, and here I am. Now what I'm going to pick up is a crystal, an 11-0, a 15-0. I'm going to get my ear wire or my earring wire and just making sure I'm going in the right way. Okay, I'm coming out. I have my beads and I'm going to go through my earring wire. Now I'm going to pick up the same beads again, just moving everything. I'm going to pick up the same beads again, which are a 15-0, an 11-0, and a crystal. And now, see, I'm coming out. I'm coming out of this one here. I'm going to go in through this one. So here's where I'm at. Let me get closer, a little bit closer. A little bit. Okay, here's where I'm coming out. And I already have all my stuff on my needle. And I'm actually going to not go in through this one. I'm going to go in through this one. Like this. Okay? So I'm skipping one. And I'm going in through the next. Once I'm coming out, I'm going to pick up the same beads. I'm going to pick up a crystal, a 11-0, and a 15-0. I'm going to go back and through my earring wire, ear wire, and try not to get caught, and pull tight. That way everything's nice and snug. And then I'm going to pick up, now I'm coming out, I'm going to pick up a 15-0, an 11-0, and another crystal. And I'm going to go through that same 11-0 where we started, which is, moving my string so you can see right here. And I'm going to go through everything one more time so that I have 2 strings. I'm just gonna adjust it so it looks nicer. Okay, I'm going to go through everything one more time. That way I have 2 strings going in through all of these beads and through that ear wire. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that off camera, and then we will put in our briolette. I reinforced everything, and now what you need to do is sew down. We need to get, you see where this crystal is in the middle of all of this crystal? Just sew directly down to where you're coming in, to where you're coming out of an 11-0 seed bead like that. That's going to bring you directly in the middle of all of these beads that are part of your clasping. And you need to be in the middle because you're going to add your briolette and it needs to hang right in the middle. So once you're coming out of here, trying to okay, once you're coming out of here, this little bead that's going in that direction, and see how I'm in the middle? Right there, you just sew to where you end up at this middle bead and then just go straight down to the bead right there, right beneath it. So I'm coming out actually towards the other side toward the back of my earring, like that from that bead. Now from here, I'm going to pick up a 2mm crystal and 4 11-0s. 3, 4. And I'm going to pick up my briolette, and you need to do this part really carefully. You don't want to just yank on your briolette because you don't want to snap your thread. So, whoop, coming out. All right, coming out. Let's go lighter. I have my crystal, my 4 11-0s, and my briolette. Now I'm going to pick up 3 11-0s, and then I'm going to go through so you can see this first 11-0 coming out of my crystal and my crystal. So I'm just gonna pick this up because it's easier for me that way. And I'm going to go through, and I'm trying to stay in frame. I'm gonna go through these 2 here. And then I'm just going to carefully pull everything like that. And then I'm going to go in through that same bead that I'm coming out of here. I'm just going to pull a little bit more because there's a little bit too much thread. Through that same bead, but in the opposite direction. When I started this part out, I was coming out towards the back. Now I'm going to circle around and go in through the other direction of that same bead. Okay, so I'm coming out when I first started towards the back of that bead. I added on all of my beads, and I'm going to go through that same bead but in this direction. So you're circling around. That's all you're doing. You're circling around. And then pull tight. And then adjust everything to make sure your 11-0s and your crystal, whoops, look nice and tidy. And here's the other one. So, looks good. And now once I come out, you can reinforce all that, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to sew straight up into the next bead on top of that. And then I'm just going to start sewing away from that and then down. And I'm away from that, and I'm just going to keep sewing a little bit away from that. And then you see all of these little threads. We have a lot of threads. I'm going to go up this one here, this little seed bead up here, and I'm going to do a few knots. So I'm coming out here. I'm just going to pick up one of these little threads like that, and I'm going to do a knot. And I'm just going to go in through my next bead and follow these little beads, these little boxes, these little boxes here. And I'm just going to sew around, and I'm going to pick up a couple of more threads and do a couple of more knots, and then that'll be it. And then our earrings will be done. Our earrings are done, and you should have something like this. And it's not a hard project to do at all. Once you get the hang of cubic right angle weave, and as I said, Potomac has a few videos out there on how to do it. Those videos go into more detail, so you might want to watch those before trying this. But once you get it, you'll get it, and you'll get your the project will move really, really quick. And another thing is, the reason I did my This little section up here for my ear wire is so that the earrings will face to the front. I mean, yeah, they'll still move like that, but they won't be turning around since these earrings clearly have a front and a back. Now, if you want, you can also do the front and the back with the crystal. I didn't want to do that. That's just my preference, but you can always do that. You can also leave out the briolette. And when you do that, well, it doesn't really matter when you do that part. It'll be much easier because there's nothing that you have to add that has to be centered. This is another earring. Well, it's a pair. I just can't find the other one. And I did these in silver and with light rose crystals, and I didn't put a briolette, but they look pretty on too. But I prefer them like this. So this is what you should have. I hope you enjoyed making these, and thank you very much for watching.